Okay, tell me who you are and how long you've lived here.
Oh, my name is Mariel Mahoney, and I have lived here for, I think about 52 years.
And you married an Alaskan.
I married an Alaskan, and he passed away, and I haven't married anybody else.
Oh, that's lovely.
And, my son lives out in the valley. He's a police officer in the valley, and he's at the airport. He's a police officer at the airport.
Yes.
The center are the 4 species of salmon. For today, we're going to catch some salmon. The outer circle turns into the actual net. And you can almost see those cork lines bobbing over the ripples of the water, where they're going to close up that net, and they're going to catch some salmon today.
They don't even say goodbye, that'll be all right. You guys don't gotta tip me, as long as you go.
Another successful trip, huh? Yeah.
Trust them, but gotta be safe.
Safe?
My thoughts of Sitka are of the many totem poles. They depict ancient events, but some just make personal statements about people, according to the artist. They carve a wooden pole instead of painting on a canvas. At the Inuit village of Saxman, I read of ancient times when Sitka was the capital city of Russian-owned Alaska. The pages tell of a simple way of life as a fishing village. Russia sold Alaska to the United States in the late 1800s for $1 an acre. Because of the Russian population, their influence is still very visible in the architecture. The Russian church is the dominating factor in the centre of the town. This was built about 100 years ago. Sitka is a busy fishing village. The shops are full of excellent craftwork to tempt the tourists, who arrive by the thousands on at least 3 cruise boats a day. However, the mosquitoes are huge. The Raptor Centre was a bus ride from this town that borders the sea for about 17 miles. The area is a beautiful wilderness for the rehabilitation of injured wild birds. It was raining, but we ventured forth to investigate and watched the salmon cruising. We found some salmon berries, then realised we were being watched by another lover of the sweet fruit. So Noel and I joined hands and looked as large as possible and fled to the raptor house and left the berries to the bears. The raptor house is a sanctuary to all wild birds who probably get better medical aid than the local people.
Oh, I thought he was there. Oh, there he is. Down there.
And then up there.
There were many birds in varying stages of rehabilitation. Their grounds go for miles, so after being released, they continue to live in this wild paradise, apparently along with many wild bears. House Aleut chieftain with his personal crest and gravestone. Walking back to town, we watched more cruise boats arriving. And we met up with Mike Schmidt from the ferry and discovered more salmon berries. No bears this time, only huskies. We were wet and cold. It's been raining all day and still locked out of our hostel until 5:30. So we headed for McDonald's and coffee. And I filmed the guys and played with the digital effects in my camera. When we arrived back at the hostel, it was bath time in the kitchen sink for the travelling beautiful baby. After reading the guidebook, the bawdy houses and pubs at Creek Street beckoned. About 1860, a pretty lass called Dolly arrived in Ketchican and decided she would make more money sharing her body than waiting tables. She set up house at Creek Street, and some nights as many as 100 or so miners and hunters were awaiting their turn to visit her on the ladder which accessed Dolly's house from the creek below. She even had silk condoms for customers, which never worked, of course. Prostitution was outlawed in 1952, but the melody lingers on. Now tourists line up to hear naughty stories of the wild frontier days afore.
Museum. That's how it became Dolly's House Museum. It's really cute on the inside. And she decorated it herself, so it's kind of hysterical.
At the mouth of the river next to Dolly's house, fishermen try their luck, and salmon jump to loosen their roe before they climb the salmon ladder and head upstream to lay their eggs. We booked accommodation at Madam's Manor, wishing for a comfortable bed after 4 nights on a deck chair. Madam's Manor was not unlike Dolly's place and had an ageing, red-headed, very rouged owner. We wondered if the accommodation included active company on request. Ketchican is built on the very edge of very deep water because of the steep terrain, so wooden pylons support the sealed road, restaurants and businesses out over the water. Last summer, a cruise ship wiped out 1 kilometre of this shopping area on a misjudged mooring. It was hastily rebuilt, as the daily cruise ships are the life of this town. The total carvers demonstrate their skills to the many tourists.
No, not her.
You can buy an apartment with a view for several million on that world and cruise forever. I wonder who chooses where they go next. Do they have a body corporate meeting to have a say? Aboard once more for a 2-day voyage to Seattle. After choosing our deck chair bed, we headed for the bar and watched the kaleidoscope of colour in an ever-changing panorama.